So I prefer standing here. Perhaps it will be better for me. Thank you very much for the organizer inviting me here to share with you the online writing in mainland China, the market situation. I would like to spend more with you the market situation, as well as how the market grew. Actually, in my presentation, you can't find so many slides because I am given 20 minutes. And of course, I will not follow the slides, and I may extend my presentation to a wide area. I have been working in the online publishing sector for many years. Actually, when I joined this industry, there wasn't such a thing called internet or publication. I just started doing what I liked at that time. So perhaps what I'm going to share with you is a little bit different from the concept of a traditional publishing. So if you have any questions in mind, or if you have any comments to make, I would like to take your questions and listen to your comments after my presentation. Now, let's look at the market situation in mainland China in terms of online writing. You can see these figures here on this slide from 2012 to 2016. In mainland China, online writing has been growing very, very fast. Those past 4 years has been a historical period. It's about 2.7 billion yuan of revenue in 2012, and now it is 10.1 billion, up by more than almost 4 times. If you look at the past 15 years, such a growth has been a dramatically high one. So when we talk about the online writing or the online publishing in mainland China, actually it is just like because of people like me, my partners, we are the people who have been working in this area, even though we were not the first to set up a portal for online writing. However, we were the first who really started charging a fee for the online writing. We started such a business model. We started such an industry, and it is because of people like us. Before 2012, there wasn't a real industry, and the total revenue was very small. Some people who were also in this industry, and if we put everything together, the total size of the market was less than 1 billion. That was before 2011. From 2012, along with China entering the mobile internet, remember it is mobile internet era, the revenue, the market size has been dramatically high ever since then. Before 2012, what kind of era was it? Most of the users at that time, basically, they used the computer display to read novels. It was not easy, and so that's why I am very grateful for those users who are still stick to the habit of sitting in front of a computer and read novels. But if you look at these figures, I need to explain a little bit. So forget about the expectation for this year. Let's look at the 2015. That is 7 billion yuan RMB. Almost half of it was from a very big organization, which is called China Mobile. As you know, that China Mobile owns the biggest number of mobile phone users, and most of the mobile phone users, when they read novels, they do it through mobile phones. Therefore, in mobile internet, mobile communication, we do have such a thing which is called the mobile reading base, which contributed over half of this 7 billion yuan revenue in 2015. As we know that these organizations, they are very strong in operations, and they have a large readers base. So actually, this is a major entity of revenue generation. As for other organizations, there's still a big gap between them. Even though the mobile communication contribute a big part of the revenue, however, at this mobile communication base, of the content, 70% of the contents were from us, from a China Reading Club. So basically, this is how it goes. Now let's look at some major portals, the literature portals or reading portals in mainland China. Here is a list of the such portals. For example, the 起点, 创世, 云起, 红袖 天香, 17K. 17K means it's a reading, keep reading. 晋江, this has been a very, very long history website. And 纵横. When I prepared this slide, I tried to collect more information from it. Actually, there are more than these portals, and I tried to find more information about such major portals. But if you look at these 7 portals here, these are the big ones. There are, of course, some other portals which are not very big, and they are not typical at all. So that's why I just put 7 portals here as a list. As for the official operators, there are hundreds of them. Of course, some of them, they create the contents, and some others, they're just the contents, or just like a platform, they buy contents from others, from the mobile base, so that they can generate their own revenue. Among these 7 portals, if you look at the left 4 are owned by us. Jinjiang, we take 50% of stake of Jinjiang Wenxue. You can see that in terms of the originals, China Reading Club owns 80% of the content share. This is another piece of statistics. How many companies are working on the online writing? Just now I shared with you the portal situation. Of course, these portals, they are original contents. Of course, you can sign a contract with their publisher so that he can really publish such content. This is proprietary, and it is not for sharing. Of course, in addition to this content for operations, there are some portals who are acting as platforms, just like a Kindle, such as the bookstores and Amazon. There are contents. Of course, they also acquire contents from others. So who are those companies in China in this area? In addition to the China mobile base, there are some local companies. For example, Changyue. Changyue is more like a content distributor. And then Baidu. There are 2 subsidiaries under Baidu, 纵横 Xiongmao Reading, as well as Shuqi. Ali Reading is another one. It has 2 distribution platforms. And to the right, these are the subsidiaries that are owned by us. This is not a full list. So we have actually over 10 subsidiaries, big and small, for such online reading. When I think about the market, there are some other players, but not big enough. So I shared with you the major players in the market, the portals, and you may wonder, well, is it true? Because you said it's 80% of the contents are from you. Well, now this is our company profile. China Reading Limited is a very young company. Before 2014, nobody ever heard about this name because the company was set up in March not 2014, but 2015. China Reading Limited. Actually, if you look at the team members, we have a long history, long experience. In 2005, we started a very small forum. If we counted that startup of our company, it has been 15 years in the market. So the major members of our team have a very long working experience in this area. We now hire about 1,000 people in Beijing, in Shanghai, in Suzhou, in Shenzhen. We have our offices already. Our platform, we have 8 platforms that are in reading in operations. We have a QQ reading as well as a 起点, as well as other applications. We have our own publishing house as well. You know, this administration for publishing publishing in China, actually it is more for distribution and publishing. We do have our own patent operations firm. This is very special about our company, which is also our core sector in our business portfolio. At our platform, currently we have about 10 10 million writers or authors who used to or who are working at our platforms. I'm sorry, it's not 10 billion authors or writers. It's the 10 million pieces of works, and with many workers and authors are writing for us. So this is the result of 15 years of growth. If you look at the growth of a business, actually it has different phases of growth. We started a very small forum, and then we set up the first website, which is called 起点 Zhongwen. We started charging a fee for reading, and later that website was turned into a 盛大文学. At that time, it managed 6 or 7 websites. In 2014, 盛大文学. In November of 2014, Tencent 文学 and 盛大文学 began an acquisition, and now it became the biggest reading operator in China. I'm really proud to tell you that we are the only one that operates in such a way for online reading. When our business model started to form, we couldn't find anything similar to ours at that time. So you create online, you publish online, you distribute online, and you generate revenue online. This whole process was done. It has been done online. And there isn't a traditional model that involves in this whole process. As I remember, 2 years ago, Kindle from Amazon started its the charging program, or is the paid reading programs. And before that, there wasn't anything at all like ours. And even if you look at the number of players, and there isn't a big number here. As for Kindles of Amazon, it used to put the traditional books or novels onto its readers there. It is not the online creating. In Japan, they also have a similar model, such as online reading or online creation. However, those platforms are free of charge. They never charge a fee for reading. After 15 years of operations, what is our situation of our business right now? Let me give you an example. According to our statistics, the number of authors, the top 10, they can make so tens of thousands of yuan per author. And I remember the top one is nearly million yuan of revenue. I remember there was a ranking in the United States, and it's similar things like in China. Even though our top one cannot make as much money as that in the United States. However, I think that it is more a matter of exchange rate. So this is we have 4 million writers and authors, and they're producing 10 millions of pieces of works. And this just fits for the potential readers in China, because our platform is connected to the data bank of Tencent. If you have a QQ account, you can make use of the internet resources there for reading. We do have a lot of original novels at our platform. We can also introduce the traditional books onto our platform, including our application, the app. So we hope that we can cover all the users, all the readers in the future. Currently in the market, in the past 5 years, every year there will be the richest writers in China, and the writers from our platform has been taking the top positions all these years. And the top 5 were from our platform last year. And if you look at this slide, you can see there are a lot of names here. It's the pen names. It's not the true names here. It's the pen names for those authors. It's very interesting that those are the most famous and the most well-known authors online here. Because Tang Jia San Shao, This is the top one. This is the one that can make 10 million yuan RMB a year. It's very interesting that the authors have to be very, very diligent, just like going to work every day. Traditionally, author, the creation cycle is very long. And it takes more time for communication, for traveling, so that he can really produce a good piece of work. But online writing, it's just like going to work every day. You have to work every day. You have to work diligently so that you can really produce a very good economic returns. For this author, as I remember, in 2001, we set up our website. In 2004, he joined our website for creation. And before 2004 till now, actually, he has never stopped for creation. He never takes one day off. And every day he produces a part of his works or even a whole piece of work. So this is a very traditional, this is very different from a traditional writing. Before there's such a thing called online publishing or digitalization. I have never considered ourselves as working in the publishing industry, because if you look at our users, if you look at our business model, it's very, very different from the traditional publishing, except one similarity, that is the creation on contents, on literature, on words. For us, it's more like a cultural business. It's more for entertainment. Or how should I put it? Sometimes when we watch a TV series, a movie, or cartoon film, or a game, it's more like this kind of entertainment items. So therefore, to the left, you can see we have a famous writers there, and they can enter the downward business very, very quickly. For example, turn this literature into a movie, a TV series, even a game with a very good box office revenue. After 2013, we had one finding here. So we just discovered that entertainment became very, very important. And actually, we were working on the entertainment sector. And then digitalization. After 2013, people call us as an IT operator. Anyway, our identities have never been consistent in the past 15 years. And so now I don't think we are fully working in the publishing sector. So this is the timeline from 2002, when we set up the first website, till now. So this is part of our timeline. Maybe you wonder, so that you started business in 2011, why 2002? It's because that when we built up such a website in 2001, there wasn't us. In China, we had a very famous forum, Xilu. We just registered a very small sector in that forum. At that time, there were some famous writers already. We asked them whether they could put the novels to our sector after they finished. And at that time, there wasn't any contract or agreement, and the oral agreement only. In 2002, we started to use our own server. At the very beginning, we had to rent a server. In 2001, I started working, and my salary was low, and we couldn't afford any website or server, and we had to rent. And at that time, there was the blog space. For example, the 50M, such a very small space for your blog writers. In 2004. We found that times was good, and the authors were there. In 2004, there was a major incident. In Xilu Forum, there were only 4 partners. In 2004, 2 important partners joined us. One is a programmer. The other was also a programmer. So why was it important? Because our 4 partners, including me, we have no idea how to handle a program. We don't know how to build a website. We don't know how to design an interface or data bank. So we couldn't do anything big. So when we decided to build up our own website, we need programmers. And then they showed up. Those 2 new partners, they brought us a very serious issue to us. That is, you're doing this. Is it for fun? Or or you take it as a career. It is true that before 2004, a lot of literature websites in mainland China, actually there had been such things very, very long before the burst of our financial crisis. In 1997, we had the first literature website in China with the investment from USA. I remember, so 100 authors were signed agreement for their patents. So in 2004, they asked us, because at that time, for all those literature websites, be it investment from foreign investors or they bought their own servers or website, nobody charged anything. And at that time, it was because of the pure love of literature, and it is free of charge. At that time, when the new partners asked us, I was totally confused because I really love literature. I love novels. I just wanted to have some place that the people can communicate. When they asked me whether I take it as a career, me and my other 3 partners, we thought about it. Can we take it as a career? Because we were still young, just started working not long ago after graduation, 1 or 2 years after graduation. And we were very courageous. And we think, no, why not? Then we said, yes, we can take it as a career, so that we can throw away other things and we can sacrifice some other things just for this career. In 2004, based on the assistance, we had our website with our own servers. That is, by January, that is truly our own website, because we took it as a career. Since it is our career, at that time we didn't have a company. That website had to generate revenue. Otherwise, it will be more like a hobby instead of a career. Then how to generate revenue? Some website, they had to rely on the advertisement. But at that time, I said, sorry, I don't know how to invite the advertisers, and I don't know how to invest them for them. So as we know that if we publish, and there is a loyalty fee, and can we charge a fee? We started thinking about it. In May 2004, we tried to charge a fee. We were the first. That is to say, if you want to read, please pay. No matter whether it's for the sake of supporting the authors or just for the value of reading, we don't care. We just charge a fee. And that is quite controversial because nobody ever charged anything for reading. And all my friends, they said that if you charge a fee, you will be done. You'll be done very quickly. So everybody said so. However, we're still alive today because the readers, the people, the users, they are not actually though are interested in the free content only. There are some people who are willing to pay to read good stuff. As remember, when we started charging a fee in 2004 in mainland China, we didn't have so many credit cards. We didn't have WeChat Pay. We don't know. We had no Alipay. You don't know how to charge a fee. We had to do it through the post offices. From the post offices, from the remittance, we have a financial guy as a partner. Every day he had to ride for 10 kilometers to the post office, get the remittance notice, and registered and take the money. It's very funny, right? Very interesting. This is how could it possible? But it was possible, and that's why we grew our business till today. So as I said, in 2015, our total publication was 7 billion. So most of it from us is from the post office remittance notice to Alipay to WeChat Pay. So actually, we just witnessed how the online payment grew all these years.
所以你们看到说我们在04年
So you can see in 2004 we started charging a fee. In 2005 we started our system to guarantee the professionalism of the writers. So let me explain to you what is this guarantee system. Sometimes you write every day. Your writing is good enough to meet up our standards. No matter we are able to sell your books or not, we're going to pay 1,200 yuan a month. In 2006, the authors want to be known. They want to have their own brands. They want to attract people. So they want to be true writers. So that's why we set up a system, the Platinum Writers system. So that is why we have such a thing called the Platinum Author in China. In 2008, the Shengda Literature was set up. They acquired 这个红袖天香 and other small websites. In 2009, when we looked back, we really liked some of their competitors. Either they no longer survived or they were acquired. In 2010, the online literature began to play an important role because the government started to pay more attention to the ecosystem of online literature. And that time, we were nominated to be the member of the Writers Association, and we were given opportunities just like other mainstream authors. In 2011, some other things happened. At that time, there were two important TV series, 步步惊心 and 老魂时代. These two TV series were exactly converted from original novels. It was also from 2011, the online publishing, online literature began to enter an IP era. In 2012, QQ Reader from Tencent was acquired by us. And after this platform, we start to operate our online writing. In 2013, we put forward a full contentment and fan entertainment concepts. I will share with you more details later. In 2014, there's another milestone, which is called The Tianji. This is a novel that we are still working on it right now. Why is it a milestone? Because in the past, in 2014, actually from 2011 to 2014, in the 3 years, a lot of online literatures were converted into movies or TV series, and the people liked it. And there are some people, they would, because they're very good novels, and they would turn them into other types, and the TV series, and the movies, and the games. In 2014, when we started on the Tianji, we realized that the literature or culture, it is a chain, it's a value chain that contains a lot of parts. And now we have a literature, and in the different chain, we can put into a TV series or a cartoon film or animation and TV series and a TV or the stage play. So it is very different from the traditional. And the stage play is more for the young generation. It's different from the ordinary play. So this is a cultural chain or cultural value chain. So that's why we call it is the full reading and pan entertainment concept. In 2015, we had our company finally, China Reading Limited. In 2016, we put forward a partnership based on the IP ownership. It has more relationship with our operators. Just now I said that the China Reading Limited is regarded as an IP operator by many players in the market. Why IP operator? Because this is a very interesting concept here. Traditionally, in the public side, there isn't such a thing. Because online reading, we actually expanded the connotation of a reading of this concept. In addition to the words, the literature, what else can you read? We can, for example, the TV series, movies, animations, cartoons, and even their theme parks. They are an extension of a reading. So usually you just read the words to experience the story, to experience the novel. That is the traditional reading. But if you convert it into a movie, is it an extension of reading? Definitely yes, even though there isn't any words there. It is visualized of these words. And so it's the same with the TV series and the stage play. Now what about the theme parks? Theme parks, it is an actualization of a visualization of such a literature. Disneyland has been a very good example, and this is the only example in the world. Currently, we're working with Wanda as well as the OCT in Shenzhen, such theme parks for such possibility. That is to say, we're going to visualize our literatures and put them into a theme park. And currently, we have already started on these projects. We talk about the forms of reading. You can see they can be expanded, right? The whole cultural chain has been turned open to us. In the past, you had to find authors all the time. You had to market them. You had to sell these literatures as much as possible. And so, because traditionally publish them, you print them out. The online you can sell IP. The publishing house they can also sell IP, right? So traditionally, the publishers they do these kind of things. You also do them, and this is the similarity. But the extensions, they're also part of your reading, right? Because traditional publishing house, they don't do any movies, they don't do any animations, they don't do any theme parks. But for China Reading Limited, this is a list of all these things that we're going to do. So we have to, and we must do it. Now, why must? I will share with you later. Now, I'm going to share with you more figures here. Actually, these figures for 2015 about online literature, as well as the downstream literature. In 2014 and 2015, in China's market, we have 30 movies that were converted from online literature, and with a box office revenue of 13 billion yuan RMB. These figures are open in the market. Now let's look at 2016. So now it is July, and 96 TV series and the movies are converted from our literature. And these 136 online plays are converted from our literature based on the platforms at iQIYI or Ting-Jui. In addition to this, 42 movies are converted from our literature from 30, in 2014 and 2015. 26 has been a very big growth for very big increase in this. And in 2014, 42 novels were converted into the games, such as Huaqiangu. So why Huaqiangu? Why this game? It's not because the revenue is highest, but rather, Huaqiangu just started a new marketing model. In the past, games are games, and the TV series and the TV series. Usually, when the games is done, they have to do the marketing by themselves, so that you can really create a bad revenue or not. But for the Huaqiangu, there is an interaction between the TV series and the game. So that actually the TV series helping with the marketing. A very small company, nobody knew it because it didn't have a very good literature. But after the Huaqiangu games, it's the monthly revenue of over 100 million for a couple of months consecutively. And it had never been such a thing in mainland China. And at that time, there came a new word, which is called the interaction between TV series and games. Let's look at the figures 2016. From January to June, the conversions from literature to games is up by 2.6 times. And as for the iOS, the Android, the market is very big, but iOS is more precise because it's not an open platform. So over 100 games, 59% of the games are converted from online literatures. So why I don't have any specific figures here? I have to apologize for it because it's easy to make a statistics on the TV series and the movies because you have to go through the administration for approval. But for games, we don't have any government department for approval, including the online games. Because if you are technically strong enough, you can just create a game and put it online and people play it. As for how many games are converted from novels, there's no way for people to make a statistics. But for these big ones, in 2014, in 2015, it is 42, and now I believe it's already over 100. Just now, I talked about the extensions of IPs. And then why people are so enthusiastic about converting the online literatures into games? theoretically, talking about the literature, this is a very big industry, and we have a very good products. And for example, animation in Japan, is a lot of them are converted into movies and other plays, and even the movies, they can be converted into games as well, or animation. But why the local players in mainland China like to converting their literatures and novels into games and movies? Because compared with other industries, there are a lot of competitiveness. That's why people love converting these IPs into different forms. So with the quality content, the good consumption people, as well as the IP, the Women's Association, all these, they are not really bullshit. If it is a good IP, be it a movie or animation or novel, actually they have all these qualifications, right? This is the consensus. If it is good, it must be good enough in these items so that it can be regarded a good IP, so that people like to convert them into different forms. But what about the novels? What are the specialties of novels? Actually, after all, just one, because it's easy to write. Isn't it funny? Because the cost is very low, perhaps the lowest of writing a novel. So what's the difference here? Let me tell you, back to what I said before, the thing that we did before, including me and my partners in 2011, something that we started in 2011. People always ask me, you have so many good IPs. How did you select them? Do you have very good editors? Or do you have any big ones and some very, very capable person that you can really have to select so many good IPs? Well, I say that actually our editors, they are not professional editors because they didn't study literature in university. They didn't know how to teach you writing a novel. They say, I don't believe it. It won't be possible. Actually, I said, it is true. For the China Reading Club, for all the online literature, what actually enabled us to select some literatures, because we are not a cultural company. We don't have a very good editors and very experienced editors. Because only them, they can cultivate very good authors. Of course, there are some good authors out there. Because we are working in the internet industry, and our business is very different from others. Whether or not we can get an IP, it relies on one thing. That is their probability. So in mathematical term, that is to say, just suppose that in the market there will be 30 good IPs in the market. According to our understanding, if you have 10,000 IPs, there will be one that is the really good one. If I want to have 30 good IPs, how to do? I can tell my editors, try to find 30 authors to write. So let's say you have 30,000 writers, then you will have 30 good IPs. So this is the most important thing for my editing team. Through our marketing efforts, we just enable more people to be authors. The more authors there are, the more possible for you to get a good IP. Of course, the more you write, perhaps you can the better you can write. And there are some very genius people. They start writing and they will be very successful. Of course, there can be coincidence. Of course, it is just like the probability. Like you play in the casino, the more you play, the more possible that you win. I'm not saying that you must have a win without 100 times of tries, but this is about the probability. Remember, we have 10 million IPs there. Of course, there will be really good ones. And in this, if at such an context, it is very difficult for the competitors to attack us, because it's basically very, very impossible for any competitor to have so many IPs, because we started 15 years ago, remember? Now, it's a very interesting topic here. As I said, we are not a publisher. Traditional publishers, we do not have all the things that a traditional publisher has. Just back to the topic. So why people like the online literature for conversion? Because if you have enough number of IPs, it's easier for them to find the best one, be it a movie or a novel or animation. Think about the cost. So can you find anything that has the lower cost? So if you write, you just have a pencil, or you have a mobile phone, or your notebook. And so what it takes is only your time and your intelligence. I used to be an editor of a cartoon. For example, you have an author who worked for 16 months, and you will feel that his IP is not good enough, and you will tell the author, "I'm sorry, but the readers do not like your work." By that time, it already took 6 months, right, with the salary, and also for these cartoon books, it's very expensive at that time. All the paper, all the raw material, are very expensive. But for novels, just 1 or 2 months of writing, you will find the users do not like it. They will just stop, or just put an end to the novel and start a new story right away. So in this way, at least the author can try 6 times in a year. But for cartoon books, just 2 tries in a year maximum. And also the magazine, think about the publisher. So just 1 chance only. Next time, people will not come to you any longer because the readers do not like it. But for online, there's no such a thing. So as you keep writing, you just keep publishing your things online. So you can see the opportunity cost is lowest, and the labor cost is also the lowest. On the contrary, once you publish your work, because there's so big number of works there, so if the opportunity cost of IP, it will be high. From the economic return point of view, online writing will be the efficiency with the lowest. However, because of the big number, it is also the greatest. So as a result, in the past 2 to 3 years, a lot of good movies, good animations, and good games seem to be converted from online novels. So this is our IP authorization in the past. Some major literature, such as Xinlongjie from Rwanda. There's another movie called The Gui Deng, about 7 to 8 million yuan, 100 million yuan of box office revenue. It was put into the Qidian and Nana Jieji and some other, perhaps you don't know about them, and also Lang Bang, which is also on air in Hong Kong right now, and has been a TV series in Yu Sheng Wang. The last one is another with the female writer. This is a very famous movie, which is called Close Your Eyes when it gets dark. So this is animation. Animation is very interesting because I used to work on animations, and I used to work on the cartoon books. And I have been working with these people recently quite a lot for the investors, and always suggest them not to invest in the cartoon books because the cycle simply is too long. Usually for a cartoon book, it takes not 6 months but 12 months to see whether it is good or not, even if it is online. And also in mainland China, we have 1.4 billion people, but not so many people like cartoon books. But it's strange. It's not a bit in mainland China or Hong Kong. In the past, it was good, but now less people in Taiwan and Japan, and the market is shrinking. Remember when I was the editor for cartoon books, and people talk about the cartoon books are very good, and the monthly publication is 7 million on Sunday. But now it is only it's a couple of thousand only. Animation. It seems overnight there are so many animation lovers, and people would rather watch animation instead of cartoon books, be it Dongmen or Bilibili or HKTDC, this kind of the portals. A lot of people watch animations, and they're very active readers, and the users. And those users, we have a lot of users like this. They just watch, they don't leave a word after reading. And they pay They pay, they read, they don't make any comment, they just leave. But for animation, they just make a lot of comments, be it good or not. And this just helps attracting more people. Debate is the most things, and then people just debate and argue, and this and the most thing that can help with the attraction. And media can also help. So based on this, in 2014 till now, in the past 3 years, we produced 2 animations. The left one and the middle one, 择天记 and 女娲. 择天记 is the most miserable animation because I used to work in the cartoon books, not the animation. I didn't know how to do it. As you know that if you don't know how to do, usually you will meet up a lot of strange difficulties there. So it won't be a very smooth process. It will be full of struggles and conflicts and unpleasant things. And so at that time, we worked together with the animation company. And once I told them very, very seriously, I told them that my animation, I'm the boss. And I don't have any deadline. You never told me that the deadline is waiting for me. So you have to improving it, keep improving it until I'm satisfied. Otherwise, I won't pay. Anyway, because we haven't paid anything at that time. But after the animation is finalized, in 2016, after the first season was over, it became #1 of all the categories, including the Japanese and the US animation, with the clicks record of 100 million already, and the revenue was extremely high. And the platform, we didn't charge a fee for the platform. That's why there was no reason for them to faking a figure. And so the revenue was 100 million. The click record is 100 million. And even though for the animation firm, I told them that I didn't have any deadline, but for the platform, for the broadcast, they said that they would purchase our second season. So that's why they others finished the first season by the end of July last year. At that time, the difficulties, for example, in Shanghai Xuandong, I met the chairman of Shanghai Xuandong, Mr. Guo. I told him that I'm working on animation and it's very good. Try it if possible. I don't like Xiangyang. And when it was online, one day Guozong said that you said you didn't like Xiangyang, but your animation is just like Flash. You told me it's animation. I said it's quite embarrassing, but it's just like this. And why? Later, it became #1. I thought about it because animation and novel is not a traditional novel. This is something common. That is the users. They really don't care the technical things there. So say the technical representation or any mistakes there. They really don't care. What they really care is about the story, whether the story is the one they love. This is very different. You know, when I was editor, I know a lot of editors. They send people want you to publish their stuff, be it animation or literature. So a lot of wrong spellings and the poor structure, and even the writing, the wording is not good enough. How can I possibly publish it? I just throw it away. But for the animation, sometimes the proportion of a face is not good, and they would not even to return to you. They just throw it away. But now it's the online publishing. All these barriers were removed. And the people like me, I love novels. And if I like it, I give it a big light. Otherwise, I would say it is dead. So basically, I would say nobody would like it if I don't like it. But online literature, there's a comment platform. Some people just go to a website, they just make comments, the criticizing or praising a novel. Usually, the more speak, the more comments you make, the better it will be. So it is also perhaps because of the law for literature. So when the market is like this, the result will be also different from the traditional publishing sector. So we have to summarize. We find one thing. It's true that online reading, this is a very serious trend, which is about the readers. They're getting younger and younger. people at my age, they're regarded as old people already. We have a lot of people who were born after 1990s, and even now after 1995, their preferences, their requirements are different from mine. So one thing I told the authors, I said that if you are a writer, if you want to maintain your productivity, if you want to be more successful, you have to keep improve your own capability of writing, especially literature. There's nothing wrong there, but sometimes it is because sometimes and your writing skill is not the critical thing. A lot of time, the success is because of the aspiration, the touching point to the readers. And secondly, for us, for the traditional publishing people, usually our standards of a good piece of work is not as the user's one, and we have different focuses. If you are struggling on the traditionally definition on the good piece, as a result, you may really miss some really good products at the end. I remember there was a case. We actually have been benefiting from the new type of writing, the online writing, all these years. From 2002 to 2016, I showed you our milestone of our company at the early stage. In between 2002 to 2008, there was one case that enabled us to be number one, far ahead of our competitors. At that time, there was a book, there was a novel, online novel, 我是大法师, as the writing skill, just like a pupil, a student in primary school. At that time, it is very literate, and a lot of people didn't like it. Some people say that, how can you possibly put such a thing into such a literature into your bank, into your novels bank in the website? And now we have a lot of the amateur writers, and the people support them because they love their writings. At that time, we made a decision, very important decision. That amateur writer, he was kicked off from his original website, the platform. We recruited him. We put into our bank, our category. So about a 3-month time, the traffic at our website tripled because his supporters followed him. It's not that his writing was good from my perspective. His writing was poor. But for the young users, the online users, reading is regarded as an entertainment, as a leisure. Even though it's different from the traditional literature lovers, and they love literature, they love the words, but there's a difference. Usually, the young people, the younger you are, the more rebelliant you are. So if an official website said, this writer is not good enough, I'm going to kick him out, they've got supporters. The supporters will back him up. I think this is for the young people. So later we found that never fight against the users. This is the lesson we learned. Because their preferences may be changing every day, because the generation is every 3 years there will be a new generation. Their tastes, their preferences will be different. So never set a frame for yourself, what is good, what is bad. So this is something that we never allow it to exist in our company. Our editors are also changing. The old editors, you grow old, and in terms of the content control, you have a macro control. As for the specific literature selection, this will be done by the young editors because they're closer to the readers. If you are more experienced editor, you can try to understand what fits for the young generation. But after all, so this is your objective opinion. For these young readers, they are the really young people, and they are the ones that understand the contents in their best way. So back to the presentation. This is the IP authorization. I think this is one thing which is very interesting. We operate in mainland China, as you all know, but our publications, most of the publications are not in mainland China, but in Taiwan. In 2006, a lot of writers have their books published in Taiwan, and now in Taiwan, in their system, because they have two systems. One is traditional one, and the other one is online. So currently in the online sectors, this is basically all the writers are from our company. So this is the non-mainland China areas. In Southeast Asia, we have already full coverage. Very interesting story. At the beginning of the year, there was a CCTV news saying that the Vietnamese is the boycotting Chinese literature because it was recorded as the literature, as the cultural invasion. We really suddenly that all the books are from us. So this is the happy information here. I have been working in this industry for 15 years. So I started from a very small company, 小酒馆, and I have been using their IP in Shanghai in publishing. In 2014, finally, I had two of my own books. That chart, that is the 拳击高手 and the 天机. This is another one in Taiwan, another one in Taiwan and Japan. This is another one, which is called, once upon a time, there was a mountain called Linjianshan. This is for animation based, and the more I do, the more I feel that there will be opportunities to show your contents to the world. This is Vietnam, that is Thailand. I have shared with you a lot. Actually, I have to say that I'm not a publisher. I'm working in the culture industry, and publishing is an important part of our culture industry, and it has great potential in the future. And the publishing is shrinking in mainland China, in Taiwan, in Hong Kong, and in Japan. It's a downstream subject. How can the publishers do? They have to transform. They have to find a new way to survive. If there's such a possibility, will you consider online content generation and publishing? You don't have to print them out. It can be online. Or is it possible for you to consider, if you are a publisher, to transform yourself from a publisher to a culture company? That will be much easier for you. Thank you.
Of Hong Kong Press to conduct a question and answer session right now. 我们现在有请香港城市大学出版社副社长陈嘉阳先生到台上主持我们接下来的答问环节，有请陈先生。
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Mr. Luo, for your kind sharing. Well, after the presentation, I just felt it's a very in-depth impression is that the China Reading Limited has been changed a lot in the past 10 years. And what is most important is to capture the opportunity, right? We have 5 minutes for this Q&A session. Now let's see whether there's any questions from the audience. To Mr. Luo, put up your hands if you have any question to ask. Well, if no, I will kick off the Q&A session by asking one question. Well, after listening to you just now in the presentation, I just wonder, now you are looking for more authors and writers for a greater volume of novels, so as to get more good IPs. So if you are an author, no matter whether you write a novel or not, so you have to think about more. For example, whether my story will be able to be converted into, say, a game or the mobile phone game or movies and so forth. So it's more possible for an author to be successful. Well, it is part of us. For what we call is the high-end authors. When they start writing, they will consider about the possibilities of movies and games, or for both. Of course, for the highest end of the top 50 writers, they will consider such possibilities when they start writing. A piece of advice for the new writers: keep things simple. don't think about why you write. So long as you write a good novel, believe us, we have the capability. Because new writers, so they have less exposure. So if they produce a good novel, that'd be good enough. Yes, that is a pure creation. Any questions from the floor again? Good afternoon, Mr. Luo. Two questions for you. Just a follow-up question after Mr. Chen. The number of IPs, just now you said that there's a huge number of IPs, and you have to select manually for these good IPs. In your plan, do you have any facilitation programs for the new writers, young writers? The second question is about the readers. Because I'm from mainland China, I know that these online literatures, the readers usually they are less well educated. I just wonder whether it is true or not. So do you have an internal information about it? Well, the first one, well, it is not 100%. Was the editors just do one thing. They just tell the authors, don't write on something. Because if you keep writing and people are leaving you, it will be not minimal. So actually the editors do not tell the writers how to write, but tell them what not to write. So for the high-end writers, we have so many of them, but we have just 100, 200 editors. We have 40,000 writers. It's impossible to cover them all. The second question is, so based on the information I know, currently if you look at all the readers, usually most of them are college students or below. So talking about the education, I'm not saying that they are not very well educated, otherwise they wouldn't read, right? But generally speaking, so the quite a pure group of readers. I think this just fits for the situation for the movie lovers and the game lovers. Thank you. Any other question? Then let me ask another one. For the Publishing Federation, when we prepared this International Publishing Forum, we thought about the topics. So online literature is a very interesting topic, we felt. I asked my friends around. I asked people from different regions, including my my colleague editor, and he's from Orling. And I asked them, do you have anything similar in UK? So that is from online literature to other IP products. No, he was totally out of a clue because he didn't know what I was talking about. So actually, just as Mr. Luo said, online literature, this is very unique. And this is very mainland China. And I don't think I can find anything similar outside of China, which is actually and is leading ahead of China on a track record. So my question to you, Mr. Luo, is that you know that the online things, they change very fast. So can you please estimate for this whole industry in 5 years' time, what will be the directions for this industry? This is a trend, very obvious. Our operations model have already shifted from digitalization to IP operation. In the future, high-end authors will be, actually they are the IP designers. In the future, they will be no longer the content generators or the novel creators. They will be more involved into the IP designing and development. Good authors will no longer be an author only. It will be also an important part of the business development and the cultural chain. So in this way, there will be more requirements from the author. Or to put it in another way, so as you can write, there's a possibility for you to be a successful writer in the future. So when the industry grows to the high-end phase, there are definitely there will be more requirements for the authors. Before 2012, we found that among the authors, it's not that all of them are very well educated. Of course, not all of them are professional writers. And actually, a lot of them were college students. Now, for the good writers, not the top, not the high-end authors, but among the top writers, the good writers, most of them are college graduates. In the future, the authors will get better and better because of the higher requirements. And when the industry just started to grow, definitely a lot of people are very diversified authors, and actually the story is more important itself, whether the story is interesting enough than the writing skills. So the requirements are changing. Your skills on the story both. It's not that everybody can be an author. I think this is good. Definitely, this is a good thing. I think this is the end of the first session. Thank you very much, Mr. Luo, for your wonderful sharing. It's a round of applause for Mr. Luo. Our next speaker is going to talk about big data. Our next speaker is Mr. Ting-Jui Chou, Headmaster of Grand Data Sorcerers. He's going to share with us on the application of big data. Mr. Chou, please. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to share with you at this forum on the big data in the publishing sector. We had a very exciting presentation. It's very inspiring. Personally, I studied marketing. I'm from the University of Oracle from UK. Actually, quite inspiring from the previous presentation. So we are at a very good era. On the one hand, the audience is actually they chose the right audience. They set up the right platform for the right audience. Plus the fact that with good providers of literature. So they match with each other. And it's such a huge market. They just found their own market segment. Of course, they can do it very, very successfully. However, personally, I think that most of you are from the Hong Kong publishing sector, and I don't think you have the same market situation. And this model cannot be duplicated in Hong Kong or in Taiwan. So then if you're in Hong Kong and Taiwan, what should you do? We're lucky that we can share. I can share with you my insight on this. So if we want to duplicate the business model from mainland China, what do we do? Because the market is huge in mainland China. At the very beginning, for the China Readings Limited, what is your total audience? The users is about 100 million users. That is 25% of the population in mainland China. So from this point of view, you are not good enough. Because if you look at mainland China, the college or below users, their scale is at least 500 million, right? Their size. Of course, you have to consider whether they have the access to the internet, including the mobile internet. So all this access opportunity. If you put everything together, that is at least 500 million. That is to say you have at least 500% of potential. Then what about other publishers? So from the China Reading Clubs Limited, the business model, I realize. So I'm not criticizing. I just want to say that we were trained university, and for this college or below audience, we hope that I think that you can control them better so that nobody can really compete to you. And in talking about the IT, we talk about the network, the extensions. Now talking about the internet structure, you have to consider the number of people who can access your website or your network. This is such a phenomenon. Whenever we see such a phenomenon, whenever a new user comes, that it doesn't influence much on your cost of a platform. However, because of the newcomer, the newcomer can help you with the cost reduction, and the newcomer, the new user can enjoy the benefits of the platform. Then you can have an effect, which is the monopoly. China Reading Limited has been working in this for 15 years, and they have been working to attract more people, more audience to your platform. You want to maximize it. And in this way, nobody can really exceed you. So if you get listed, I definitely buy your share. It's because I can see 5 times of growth in the future. But we are the latecomer, not the early starter. What can we do? We have to set up our insights among these 400 million people who are not yet the audience of China Reading Limited. How can we segment this market? I think in this segmentation, it's really difficult for us to copy China Reading Limited, your business model to cover this new audience. If you look at the market in mainland China, in Hong Kong and Taiwan, in Hong Kong you have 8 million people in Hong Kong. In Taiwan, we claim to have 20 million. However, it is not big enough after all. And in Hong Kong, it's easier to do the marketing. Why is that? Because in Taiwan is very fragmented, and ideology is also important because of this fragmentation. So if the fragmentation, it's a very fragmented audience, and each part is very small. They're so small that they won't be able to support your operations cost. But in Hong Kong, it's easier because we have the Hong Kong and Taiwan as well as in China. People that we have a very good reading habit, reading atmosphere. But in Hong Kong, I don't feel it is as good as in Taiwan. And to put it another way, through other ways, it's easy for you to find this segmented market of your own. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. In the context of big data, with the support of big data, we can do a couple of things. I'll share with you later. And very importantly, you have to have the insights of what are the favorites for their audience. Why this topic? Because I have a very complicated background. I got a doctorate degree on marketing, but I was a coder. I was a programmer from 15 years old. Now I'm 55 years old. And every year I have at least 5 hours for coding, programming. This is my hobby. Big data and model has a great correlation between each other. It's because of the utilization. I go to good schools and good trainings on it. Plus, it's the terminology. My domain is behavioral science. So if I put these 3 things together, I will report to you from these 3 perspectives on the utilization or application of big data in publishing. This is a personal buy. I wouldn't go into details of it. When I came here for this report, I couldn't help feeling, that I had a chat with the gentleman from Hong Kong TDC. I realized that this is the most important meeting for Hong Kong publishing sector, which is promoted by Hong Kong TDC. This is quite impressive, very impressive. So this unit is from Taiwan Ministry of Economy. My area is international trading. I have been studying the trading model between Korea and Japan. I found that in the past 5 years, the trading models is like this international trading is always led by culture. The culture can be regarded as the core for international trading. So I think Hong Kong has a great opportunity to do so. This time here, I feel that how can we integrate the culture and the trading so closely? And very often I hear complaints about the less strong economic support, but I think this structure is very meaningful. From this perspective, I feel that Hong Kong has great opportunities to grow publishing sector better. These are why publishing why do I have any business with it? Because I love reading. I love books. I'm the reading is just like a nerd. So when I was young, when I see things like this, I would stay there for 10 hours and couldn't sleep. This is a bad habit for me. So what I love most is not the things online. The things I really love the smell of the books. I believe that it's the poisonous. I believe it's addictive. It's just like morphine. I grew up in such an environment, and it's quite natural that I really love publishing. I really love books. Later, I went to UK to study in University of Oka, and I studied there for a couple of years, and I stayed in the library all the time. This is another one, and another place is the bookstore on the campus. I went there very, very much. When I was working on my doctorate degree, I stayed there every day. So every day when I see things like this, I feel awful. I stayed in Australia 5 years. It's the Bowden's, it's the bookstore. I went there very much, and then it went bankruptcy and was acquired. So I just feel my heart was bleeding when I see things like this. Last year I went to the Oxford University because my child is studying in UK. I noticed that there's a very famous bookstore in Oxford. It said they lost the bookshop because it's closing business. That was the already lost bookstore there, but it had to close business. It's quite a miserable thing for me. So talking about the opportunity why I'm here, this is what I'm going to talk about. Physical bookstores, they are shrinking, they are they are struggling, and there must be something wrong with the publishing industry. So how can we overcome these difficulties? In Hong Kong, probably the one thing is that you're facing with the international market, and then the market in mainland China. What can you do? How can you do? Is there any ways for you? So perhaps it concerns a lot of a technical side. So don't be afraid, because I have already hired all these models, all the mathematic things. At least you can see, with the support from the big data point of view, what we can do. I will focus on 3 things. Number 1, how can we handle the fragmentation for us to position the demand? That is, find your segment, to find the cut way, the cut point for you. Because out of 1 billion, 1.4 billion, some people, they are already loyal users of China Reading Limited, but there's somebody else. In Hong Kong, you have 8 million people, plus the floating people, about 10 million. Can we segment this market? And we can work on them. So this is the first thing I'm going to talk about. Second question. Under such an era, there's a new jargon, which is called the fragmentation. Fragmentation, actually, I see it very clearly. So the population is fragmented. So it's just like cutting into smaller and smaller pieces. And the way we see people are different from others. In the past, with a limited supply, only limited number of publishers, it was easier to form a mainstream ideology there. But now we have multiple media and very fragmented. Everybody wishes to express his own ideas, his own opinions. So if you want to take care of everyone, the surface point in his heart, how can you do? At this moment, you will find that if you want to satisfy everybody, it will be costly, it will be very expensive. Then how can you do? So this is the second part. I'm going to talk about the capacity loss, the absence, as well as the cost increase. In the public sector, there are a lot of alternatives that can replace you. China Reading Limited, they can do a lot of things in order to writing novels. Just like me, usually I'm very busy, and I don't read novels, but I listen to novels. This is audiobooks, right? This is a different media. It's no longer the traditional books, let alone there's a huge number of other multimedia contents and the animations and different types of channels. Some of these channels, compared with the traditional publishings, they are different from the traditional channels. How can we successfully block this audience? So this is another point I want to make. So why these topics? It's because we have our changing habits of reading. Long time ago, when I was young, I actually went to private schools when I was young, and this was the book I read at that time. You had to read. There's no comma, no stop there. From the first word, it's quite confusing. For example, and it's if there is no comma or stop, how people may have a different understanding or different interpretation of a long sentence. Traditionally, you understand this example. For example, it rains and the god is trying to return your guest, and will you return him or not? This is actually a game of words, and when we read, we focus on the words, we focus on the interpreting, understanding these words. This is the way we read. Perhaps our way of reading, our habit of reading is no longer the same. How we studied in the past, how we learned in the past. Once you have a book, you read from the first word to the last. And this is also my habit right now. I remember when I was in university in Taiwan, I went to the Taiwan Science and Technology University. I was one of the best students. Every week, I read at least 3 books. 1 week. And I taught in People's University for 6 years. I remember some students there were exactly the same as me. And so I remember one student, so at least 5 books in a week, finish 5 books. It's very diligent, right? So how do they read? You will look at the content. You have a table of contents and the preface, right? So your understanding is a systematic one, is a comprehensive one, it's not the fragmented one. After reading, what will you get? In your brain, you will set up your own structure of understanding. For example, this is a statistics structure I studied before, and this is very comprehensive. You read a lot of statistics books, and in your brain, you can draw a map in your brain. So for this area, perhaps you can be a kind of expert to some degree. So this is the machine learning. After reading, you can also form a kind of a structure in your brain. After this structure, this is a result of reading in the past. So what about the young kids right now? How do they read? They read this, right? So I'm not good at math. You can read the cartoon book of math, and you can be good at math. Is it true? Remember when I in Taiwan, I took the entrance examination of university. It's 120. That is the full mark, and I got 118. And because I got the wrong answer, the 118, that score is not from the cartoon books. I don't think these cartoon books can have anything about these 118 marks. Well, perhaps only 18 marks. So this is a fragmented learning. It's a very fragmented. I'm not criticizing. I'm just telling the truth. We see so many learning material is being fragmented, telling the young kids that this is the way you learn. Perhaps for some audience, it is meaningful. However, think about in the past, we want to create some social chain. Totally is a different story. So what is more? Searching. I used Baidu or Google to search. I found that a lot of them are hyperlinks. So when the hyperlinks are clicked and I had a look, and then it pops out, and then I click and I had another look. So wow, this is good. But usually there's just a dots and a dots and a dots, and I just got lost and I forgot what I'm searching for. I said, just want to look for a machine. And finally, I found it is an animation, and I was abstracted. And then I was abstracted into a different thing. I just forget my original purpose. So this is even more fragmented learning. This is the WeChat. You see, it's a lot of subscription. This is my own mobile phone. So I do have a lot of fragmented reading here. This is a list of my subscriptions for reading on my WeChat. For example, there's a Sanlian. I'm not sure whether it has anything to do with the Sanlian in Hong Kong. Oh, okay. So the different. This is from Shanghai. It's from Shanghai. I really love reading their things because of the more literature. However, so what you read there is very fragmented and even more serious here. This is the group. This is the groups. This is the one group from the People's University. A lot of them. This is the Haidian District Commercial and Industrial Association. So the information there even more fragmented. Basically, there isn't any system for everything, and even false information. A lot of them. Now let's look at Facebook. Every day, people were online on Facebook. People were looking for fragmented knowledge. That means that the China Reading Limited is easier to be successful because your customer base is very big. But from another perspective, we found that the publishing industry, this is a controversial here. Just now talk about systematic learning. Now it is a fragmented learning, and that's our brain is just like this. That's a different things growing in your mind, because it's full of different types of information. It's fragmented without any system, and there are so many types of them. So under such a context, if you want to stick to the traditional way of learning, I think the brain will be just like this. Is it true? You're not saying that, right? So how can it possibly be like this? It should be like this, right? This should be our brain. I just guess. So for the China Reading Limited, everybody believes that his mind, his brain is just like this because it's full of things and you're fully creative. And so that you are a problem solver. This is the young people I can see right now. Their brain like this. From my perspective, it's like this, but from their own perspective, it's not like this. From a marketing point of view, China Reading Limited is right, because truly you can enable these people continue realizing their dreams, right? Because you're satisfying their need. But what I feel is that I compared different generations from post-80s, post-90s, post-2000. Usually, the more fragmented learners, the linkage capability is higher. However, when they do something serious, they can be like this. This feels you're so helpless. From the publisher's point of view, we have to face with this audience because your audience is changing. So we are old people. We will die someday in the future. In 10 years' time, in 30 years' time, you will find the people all over the world, their brain will be just like that. You are a publisher. You have your audience. If the audience will be like that, what will you do? How can you change yourself to adapt to them? I think this is the trend. It's really hard to resist such a trend globally. What can we do? As a matter of fact, I have seen a couple of ways for adaptations in the past. For publishing, you have to change yourself to adapt to the world. And these are some of the ways. They may not be anything with big data. In the year 2000, that was the early stage, Mr. Wang Zhongren asked me for a discussion about 1 to 2 years. I said they had already got some systematic knowledge. They just want to do things. One is the knowledge point, the other is the pedigree. It's a paragraph. He wanted to do it through digitalization. And on the cloud, he built up a data bank, a database, and how to encryption, how to fight against the piracy, so on and so forth. And then he came out with a new concept, which is called reading on demand, or publishing on demand. He said that the audience in the remote area, he can organize what he can to read, and then print it so that he bring it back home and read. Later, I went to Australia. I began to teach there. Mr. Wang And he went to his own experience. It's the electronic publishing, and then the electronic books. And later, he just went to another path. So this is a way of adapting yourself to the market. The second way is that we noticed that a lot of publishers were just went for publishing through digitalization or multimedia. Between 2000 to 2006, I noticed a lot of audiobooks right in the audience, something that you can listen to. That is a way of adaptation as well. However, cannot bring a transformation of the whole industry. The third way to adapt is to the cross-disciplinary arbitrage. On the surface, you look like a publisher. However, publishing is just like a frame. It's actually through publishing you get up arbitrage. For example, I know publishers in Taiwan. One of them I know is very well. In the year 2000, it started such arbitrations. That is arbitrage. They have a weekly magazine, the financing magazine, and there are reports on stocks, a lot of rumors there, and inside stories. And so who provided such inside stories? Those writers behind them. Those writers, they had connections with the stock owners, and usually the articles will be able to influence the stock market. From there, receive the article to till publication, at least it takes at least 3 days. The publisher, in the first place, he could know the inside stories right at least 4 days ahead of the market situation. So while printing and publishing, he could buy and sell, right? And on day 4, once the story was put on air, it can start to buy or sell. It can be long, can be short. Actually, he made 1 billion. So this is another way of adaptation. The fourth way of adaptation is still very popular right now. For example, how can I generate literature? It's not in the way of the China Reading Limited. It can be it's a buzzword or a hot topic or a hot figure online. Just now, you said you have 4 million writers, right? And they're very fragmented. So your method is through the fragmentation. You do the randomization, and with randomization, you can have the lucky to pick the one, so you can be successful in that way. But for the professional writers, there are a lot of already. It's the right for somebody else, and this is the cheap production. You can find a top writer. For example, a very big figure, a big gun in the industry, and you can, as for example, I interview, you speak, I write, and it's just like a transcription, I can write. This is also very low cost and fragmentation. This is a result of my observation in the past 10 to 20 years, how we adapt to the market. These changes are for the physical publishers. Then, do they change the trend of the market? Actually, not much. I think it can change the industry. I think there's one thing, just like China Reading Limited, they can be the force to drive the market. It so happens that they do the right thing at the right time, and they find the right audience, and they have the right authors, and everything was done at the right time. This is a way to be successful, and the China Reading Club is very successful. The second one is another one. So whether or not we can have a better insights of the market so that you can have your own decision. This is why we need big data. But big data, I wouldn't share with you more in depth because I'm running out of time. But generally speaking, we can look at IBM. The big data from IBM, by definition, it contains, for example, the speed of a data generation is very, very fast. Do you agree that the data is coming very, very quickly? For example, in Hunan satellite TV, I'm being an advisor to Hunan. As Hula, they have a very app. It's Hu Now. Hu Now means who now. Actually, it's have the same pronunciation as Hu Now in Chinese. In this HuNow app, its registered user is 36 million people. The peak time is every second, 6 million people were active online. Every second, my machine has to handle over 6 million pieces of information. This speed, do you think this speed is big enough? And also the volume is very, very big. It's huge. It's massive. And now I want to touch about the China Mobile. It's a city, it's a municipal a city. The mobile phone, the data is about 1 terabyte. Just one day. It's huge, isn't it? And the forms of data is very, very complicated. Can be literature, can be math, can be audio, can be video, can be multimedia, different data types. For example, I'm handling. We develop a product. We use a camera to take a snapshot to have the hotshot analysis. For this streaming video for each frame, we can analyze alive which party is people, which party is not, so that we can figure out the neighbor. It is a very complicated data structure, and then it is a diversification, the multi-source of data. For example, the weather information, mobile phone information. So information comes from different sources. So China Reading Club, Reading Limited, behind in the database, because you are using the database of Tencent, they have the data mining for your audience. For each second, what are the keywords that they are focusing on? From these keywords, you can give guidance to your writer, what to write and what to not write. This is also a concept of multi sources. So all these phenomena, as a result, you have a very big, massive data. This dirty data, and then you have to process it to this. There are 2 applications of big data. One is inside. I would not elaborate too much of this concept. One is the signal, what is the inside? The signal and inside, what are the differences between them? For example, I read a story from mainland China. It said that the handsome boy met a girl, and he indicated to the girl. He said the hookup beauty, because the hookup is a kind of indication going to have sex with you. You don't understand this term, right? Because it's too straightforward. And what they would get this he said because this is rolling. Rolling means the signal. Rolling the bed sheet means the hookup, because the rolling can be on the bed or out of the door, right? He said rolling, right? Just like the get out. So the second application is for you to listen. So there are some ways for you to listen to the audience. So you can say there, you can listen to the insights. For the sensors on the mobile phone, there are even more of them. There are a lot of things in a mobile phone. Now in the mobile phones, there are so many sensors there, so that you can really listen. So this is something this is a program about 20 minutes. I can write a lot of programs like this. So that you can really review the secrets of a mobile phone. And from a mobile phone, when you access the Wi-Fi, actually you've got so much data already. If you have an app, you can acquire even more data. I used to ask my partner to give me a list. So how much data we can get out of a mobile phone? I said it's a long list. It's about 463 types of data we can acquire legally from a mobile phone. You don't have to invade. You don't have to hack. So with so many online devices, everybody is transparent, as if you're walking naked. So WeChat has done a lot of things like this. Your Tencent partner. Tencent, in my opinion, is the most promising company in the world because it acquires so much data. Days ago, I was online and I noticed the TVC of China Airline. I said every 9 o'clock in the evening, it is the moment time every night because it is a Tencent, because it has already understands the insights of people's daily habits. So how? So really depends on the China Reading Limited. Hopefully not. This is another example. For example, this insect in in Lanzhou. I did it last year. There's a boss in Lanzhou. He wanted. He asked me how he can open a store successfully in Lanzhou. He had 8 restaurants, the chain restaurants in Lanzhou. This is a 大众点评, and then we can get data like this. ？So this is the data we can get. This is the location. Of course, it's encrypted. It's easier for you to convert it into this. And then there will be something interesting for you to do. 24 Google Maps, and you can put them together. For each location is the coordinates you found in your mobile phone. And if you look at the details here, it is the darker the color is, the better people give more positive comments. If it is red, over 90% of the people would say it's the best. And then what can you do? At that time, I gave a piece of advice for the boss. I said that if the cursor moves somewhere, it pops out, and if you look at the comments, you will know that how many people like what, whether the food is good, the price, and so on and forth. Or they can say people complain about the soup, they complain about the food. And think about it. In this data, so if people like it, it means the people demand it, right? More people would demand it. If the average comment is not good enough, and that means that you don't open more stores in that area. Of course, when you open a new store, you will have it in the location with high demand and a less number of existing stores, right? So this kind of technology is very helpful. For example, from China Reading Limited, this example, they got big data on the readers as well. For example, there are different types of people, how many people like what, the emotions. You will be able to know the emotions. They can also you convert the novels they read into a net map and what kind of novels they like most. They can also conduct the analytics on these words and what kind of categories and what are the topics, and you can even know which audience are interested in these topics. And when you look at their emotions, positive or negative, what kind of a novel it is. So there's another way of listening. You can use the camera to listen. So they're very simple. You can at least know the traffic at your store. We can also conduct analysis on the hot topic. This is about the messy bookstore, messy department store. In the bookstore, you can do the same. You can know what people are interested in, what kind of books. For example, this is the messy department store. This is the shelf, and this is the certain buying behavior. The other is the traffic, the person passing by. We suggested in messy department, they just put this corridor wide a little bit so that people can really pass. So in this way, the sales increased by 5% immediately. This is a retailer. There are more ways, and I'm running out of time. I'm going to skip these slides. For the publishers, first, we can position our demands better. I already showed you the technology and the methodology. Now, based on the technology and the internet, we can also play some traps, so the HTTP cookies and also the trace tracking of a mouse, so that we can understand the audience, what they need, when they need, and this will bring us better insights. In terms of the insights, we can also put more information there. For example, for each article in different locations, you can embed something there, so that you will understand what people, when, what they look at the content. For attention, for the literature, for such detailed information, you can do a lot of things based on such data. We can also, this is the true case. It's similar to the China Reading Limited. It's the self-media company in Taiwan. It doesn't have so many audience, only a couple of million of users only. But it does one thing. It's self-media publishing. It's positioned on the college students and above. It's a very different segmentation. It's a verticals. For example, cosmetics, traveling, and food. Of course, when the authors write good articles, they are more for art. It's not that rough stuff, but more artistical writing. For example, you can look at the literatures they read, when, by whom, in what occasion, to even words and phrases. They're very granularized. And you can see the preference on the literature, the reading, the theme, the location, and even to the keywords, the granular. And the apps from your mobile phone, you can get the location, the weather, the route. You can guess the gender, the age, the education, professions, and so forth. This is the conclusion. Our estimation is very accurate. We conduct a pilot. It's over 1,000 sample. Based on the literature he read, it's 1,000 people. We observed 4 months the online literature. We can estimate very precisely is the gender, age, profession, education, so on and so forth. And the worst one, the lowest one is only 86. And for the literature, it's 86% of accuracy. So we have in-depth understanding of the audience. So actually, for publishing, insights of the audience is very critical. As for the capacity loss, now we use the auto writers as well. In addition to the representative writing, this is something I and my team is working. It's the auto writing. It's I am writing. It's in-depth learning model. We try to learn the style from Mo Yan because it doesn't sell well. We can also copy the style of Jin Yong, his literature, his writing, so that we can set up a mathematical model. We can also get a group of words and put it into a abstract, and then it can produce a Jin Yong style writing. And we are approaching to the end of the test. Some other organizations are also working on such similar projects. This is the news robot writing. It's just like manual writing. This is from mainland China. This is about solving the channel segmentation. Inside usually for example, Douban reading is an example. Its audience is very different from Yuan. But if you look at the literature as well as the choice behavior, it is a very good guideline for the publishing. So this is something that I analyzed from Douban. You can see this is the guide. This is Bin Laden. This is the guideline. He's guiding 3 writing groups to produce some group of literatures. Of course, there are coordinators between them. We often see them in the market. So robots are just like this. And the China Merchants Bank is the very famous. It's called the Xiaozhou Movement. So I'm sorry, I was so hurried to finish this presentation, but still have a couple of minutes for writing, for the Q&A, and I prepared these slides by myself. I hope I can answer your questions. Thank you very much for your sharing. Now we're going to open the floor for Q&A. For Q&A, Mr. Chen will moderate this session. Thank you very much for your wonderful sharing. So time is flying, and I'm sorry for that. So again, you may have already heard a lot of new stuff just now, and just wonder, it's about Tesla. There was an accident of Tesla. It's the automation, it's the automated driving. So just now you said it's the auto writing, right? I just want to know for the publishers, what will be the situation in a few years' time? You may have some questions in mind for Mr. Zhou. So any question from the audience? So I have to apologize because there are so many things that I want to share with you. I have to cut a lot of my slides. So a question here. Good afternoon. I'm very interested in the traditional writing. I'm actually looking for a traditional publisher. So for your track, for this the Patron technology, I feel so fresh that you can analyze the traditional publishers. Well, we can do it. It's very simple because we are producing this analytics about 2 hours, and so sometimes just 30 minutes we can do such a data analysis. You can see the results. Do you charge a fee? Yes, but just kidding. Thank you. But for this, from a mainland point of view, for this kind of application or data analysis programs, actually so many people can write such programs. My partners, so they're working online, about 100 applications, very active online every day. So we're not analyzing your data because you're not my competitor. But actually, a lot of issues you mentioned, we can resolve them. We have a lot of really good hands. Thank you very much, Mr. Zhou. Can I have your business card? Yes, definitely. Any other questions from the floor? Good afternoon, Mr. Zhou. I'm from Hong Kong. I'm an intern reporter, a journalist for the online media. Just now you said you set up a benchmark and it's difficult for others to exceed you, be it in Hong Kong or in Taiwan. The online media, do you think it will be saturated in the future? Well, what I say is that, so if you are the monopoly, if the benchmark is not easy for people to accept, it's only that you have a wide extensions of your existing content because you have one more newcomer, the new audience, and you can reduce this cost and improve the returns to it. And that does not influence anything about the cost of the platform itself. If you have enough audience, after the marginal cost, after dilution, it is almost zero. So with this unique business model, nobody can easily exceed you. You can be number one all the time. I do agree that China Reading Limited in the future, they will continue to be number one because it's really hard to be better than it. But for the saturation, if you have any unique verticals for you to segment, then it will be done. For example, in Taipei, they do something unique. So of course, actually we provide the technology to them, but to the market, they carry only their own brand and the logos. So they have an in-depth understanding of verticals. What they do, we provide a platform to them. At this platform, I'm sorry for that because the slides were really quick. So for the vertical direct sales, for in the past, they can see what are the keywords, and when you click on the keywords, they can see what are the areas related to these keywords, and they say expand. They will know who was searching for these keywords, and then you can finally find which author it is and whether this author is effective enough. And so that's why you can hire different authors to write different things. When they start writing, they will release the influence to the market so that finally people pay, because you have to make a profit. As for pay, there are two ways. If there's a negative publicity, you can help ask the writers to control the publicity. The vertical companies, they want to know what will be the direction for the new products that they can turn to the writers for the consultancy. And also these writers can help with the brand building. So all these literatures, all these writings, if you consider the physical publishers and the magazines, as well as the online publishers, they can work together. The effect will be very good. But for each topic, they don't exist long. They just disappear very quickly because it is after digitalization. It's based on the data analytics, so that they can capture the because they can capture the opportunity that disappear in a minute. So it's a very different model as in China Reading Limited. But they just they can always find the good topic, good content to work on. So because they have the platform support, which is critical for them, so we have more and more raw material and more contents. Any other questions from the floor? Good afternoon, Mr. Chou. In Hong Kong, Taiwan, and mainland China, for the publishing industry, it means that it is quite slack. Now it seems that we need to position our industry and so that we understand what books to publish and what people for what people. So any suggestion for the whole industry for this transformation? Thank you. My suggestion is very simple. So just now I have three subtitles on this, but the most important one is insight. If you want to be successful, you have to find your own market segment. As for China Reading Limited, they found a very good segment. For such a segment, there are a lot of them. And China Reading Limited just got their one. How can we find it? Such as the Patong as well as the forum. We can do it easily. We can collect information massively and conduct data analytics to segment the audience. This is the first step. After that, we look at the number of the audience times by their capacity, their consumption capacity. That is financial value. It must be big enough. After the analytics, you can find, say, 100 segments that you can go into. Then you select 5 to 10 with the highest financial values. And then you can vertically segment it into very, very in-depth penetration, just as China Reading Limited. Their perspective is from the novel publishing to expand into different dimensions. This is the one way. The other way is that for the same group of vertical, you can also do it. For example, the Red Mansion story. It seems that not so many people reading this novel, but if you look at the total population in these three areas, at a proportion, this figure is still very big. If you can find out what is the location of the reader and what they live, what is personal information, if you understand in depth about these people, then you can even segment this audience into more product developments. May not be books, Of course, even on books, you can do more market segmentations. Currently, the Liu Qiu, I don't think it is working very well. It's just like a notebook. If you have a celebrity, he reads and he can make some comments, and you can publish all of them at the same time. Have you ever tried it before? It seems that you haven't, but I tried it before. This kind of book is a new way of publishing. It's just like celebrities doing the guideline and some of the preface. He can write a lot of things. Some writers they also draw on their preface. I think this is just an example. This is the vertical penetration. This is for the selected segmentation to extend your products. So if you use authors, man, it's be very expensive. But if you use robots, it could be very, very cheap in cost. Thank you. Just now, Mr. Chou said that China Reading Limited have at least 5 times of growth, and the share price will definitely go up. So, well, when Mr. Chou, his company get limited, we will buy the share. I think for the interest of time, this is the end of the International Publishing Forum. I'll see you next year. Thank you.